Hey, everybody. This is Zak Nordyke, and I'm a passionate learner when it comes to business, entrepreneurship, and investing. And I'd love to talk with you today about using stable coins to generate yield on exchange. And the stable coin that I have the most familiarity with is Gemini Dollars. So I'm going to specifically talk about using Gemini to generate predictable monthly returns. It's something that I have benefited a lot from, and it's a really good thing to balance out the volatility that comes with investing in digital assets and cryptocurrency. So why listen? Why bother to listen? And this is not investment advice. I'm just giving personal anecdotes, stories, and thoughts from being in the crypto investment space since roughly 2018, very early 2018 till now. I've had the great fortune of investing just under $200,000 since 2018 till now. I've returned over nearly four times my money in that period because I'm a strong believer that it's about time in the market and not timing the market. I'm sure there will be those that adamantly disagree about that philosophy, but I have strong conviction around Gemini Dollars, Gemini Dollars, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Cardano. Those are my holdings. I plan on being a long-term holder with all of those, and I like to generate yield on just sitting digital dollars, and I use Gemini Dollars to do that. So let's get into it. What the heck is a Gemini Dollar? Well, it's something that you can purchase on, I think, a number of different exchanges, but Gemini is a cryptocurrency exchange. The Gemini Dollar is an ERC20 token, meaning basically they use Ethereum to generate this token that represents a United States dollar, but it can ride on crypto rails. So essentially, Gemini has a regular bank account with United States dollars in it, and that sits and it's a one-to-one value with all the Gemini dollars that they issue. So for every one Gemini dollar that's on exchange that you can use to buy whatever digital assets you like, there's a dollar in a New York State bank that mirrors the dollar that's been issued. So it's a very stable offering. Okay, some stable coins are tied to other assets, but I like the Gemini Dollar because it's just literally tied to a US dollar. For every dollar that for every Gemini dollar they issued, there's a US dollar to back it. There's about 173 million Gemini dollars on exchange currently. They have that much just sitting statically in an account that they hold. It's frequently audited. It should give anybody investing in Gemini dollars pretty good confidence that that it's being backed in a solid, traceable way. Is there a possibility that a Gemini, a BlockFi, or any exchange could be closed or shut down? I think that there's some possibility of that, but I have pretty good confidence that they follow regulatory and compliance standards that need to be followed, and that they're pretty transparent about their holdings when it comes to US dollars to issued Gemini US dollars. So I'm a big proponent of that. How do you get yield? Well, I personally park my Gemini dollars on exchange in BlockFi. BlockFi then uses those dollars to lend out to other institutions that need to borrow. They give them a particular rate. And then basically, because they're lending out assets that I've deposited, they're giving me kind of some of the upside of the rate that they're getting. Okay. And they're taking the in between. So if they make a loan for 13%, they're going to take, that middle percent that they're not giving to me or anybody that's a depositor. Okay. So right now, and this is, I think, really attractive to anybody who likes predictability. Right now, Gemini dollars on BlockFi if you have over 40,000 Gemini dollars deposited, which is like having $40,000 deposited, you're earning 8.25% APY. Okay, so an 8.25% return on the money that's parked there. It's like parking dollars in a savings account. Okay, is there a little more risk to it? Sure, it's being lent out on to institutional investors in crypto. Is there a chance that it could evaporate? Yes, I think that would be probably naive to think otherwise. But the way that this happens is the institutions or the traders have to heavily collateralize, over collateralize. So if they take out a loan, they have to put up collateral that is more than the value of the loan that they're taking. And their stop loss orders are set in an aggressive way, meaning that if the market drops, whatever they're borrowing to do, if the asset that they're borrowing against drops, they're going, stop loss order is going to be placed and they're going to be liquidated out of the position. Basically, there's a heavy insurance, I guess, is what I'm getting at, that the way a BlockFi or a Gemini is lending is on the safe side of lending, in this space. Your dollars are in pretty good shape. The yield is very predictable. I think, and again, if somebody's watching this and they say, oh no, it's been lower than this, but I've seen the rates roughly 5% APY to 8.25%. Yes, the yield percentage on the Gemini dollars does fluctuate each, I think it's about every month. You're updated with the yield that you're going to get. I would say the range is 5 to 8%. And it's beautiful because it's compounding annualized interest that you're receiving on this. And every month, you can receive a deposit in whatever digital asset you'd like. I just receive it in Gemini dollars, but it's fantastic to see that money growing each month in a very predictable way. Unlike investing in Bitcoin or Ethereum or Cardano or any other digital asset, there's extreme predictability. Yes, there is some unpredictability in the range. Is it going to be 5%? Is it going to be 8%? It can be as high as nearly 9%, which is really strong. But it's a great way to kind of hedge your bets. And I think maybe the thought process is, how in the world could even 7% hedge your bets? Well, I've written a paper that's very rough that explains that in a 5-year base, on a 5-year timeline, because again, one of my biggest thought process is it's time in the market, not trying to time the market. But on a 5-year timeline, if you have any 70-30 portfolio construction, you can return your principal investment over that time. What do I mean? So if 70% of the money that you wanted to invest was put into a Gemini dollar, yielding 7% on average over that 5-year timeline, whatever the amount of money that you initially started with, 10,000, 100,000, a million, whatever it is, that initial principal will be returned. Let's look at an example. Let's do 10,000 because I think that that's a reasonable toe in the water for this. If you took $10,000, right, and you said 70% of this, I'm going to put into a stable coin like Gemini, like the Gemini dollar. Again, something I have personal familiarity with. Okay, 7,000 out of the $10,000 goes into the Gemini dollar. Let's say, and I think this is pretty fair, let's say on average, it's compounding and growing at 7% per year for 5 years, 60 months. So you get 60 payments of interest. Okay, you will have roughly $10,000, not with the 7,000 plus the interest that you're going to generate over 5 years, not in 5 days, but in 5 years, you will be back up to the initial amount you invested. Okay, you put 7,000 of $10,000, you just park that in Gemini dollars and you put it onto an interest-bearing exchange like BlockFi or like Gemini, and it yields out compounding annual interest, often higher than this, but let's use 7% for my example. If it earns 7% compounding annual interest, you are going to return your $7,000, obviously, and roughly $3,000 additional dollars in interest payments if you don't touch it. And I would strongly suggest, just from my personal experience, that you don't. That's a way to kind of guarantee the return of your initial $10,000. Is it good to only return to kind of a break-even point in 5 years? No, that's not a good return at all, but you didn't lose anything. And half of staying in any game is not getting tapped out. So if the worst result you could achieve in 5 years is a break even on your initial investment, that's not a terrible thing. Okay, it's not what we want, but you are preventing the ultimate demise of going to zero. I think most people's greatest fear when they're investing. Also, the awesome thing is if 30% is in a Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, name the other asset, it could be even something, it could be in something else. Again, I'm not going to speak to those things because that's not where my personal experience is at. I know there's a lot of things that probably have higher growth potential than what I name, but again, this is something that I have personal experience with investing in those three assets. If you have 30% or 3,000 in the $10,000 example invested in those, I think it's easy to foresee at minimum 50% growth. So you would have $6,000 more than likely at the course over the course of 5 years. I think I'm being extremely conservative when I say this. No matter how you divide it, it could be 50% of that 3,000 in Bitcoin and then the other 50% divided between a Cardano and Ethereum. It doesn't matter. I think by doing that, you're allowing yourself the foundation, okay, the foundation of being able to put your money in a really predictable yielding investment, like getting the returns off your stablecoin. And you're going to bring yourself back to that principal investment in 5 years. But then you're allowing yourself the absolute high growth, probably multiples of return possibility. And it is a possibility, it's most certainly no guarantee. But you're allowing 30% of your money to ride in something that has incredible growth potential, multiples of return growth potential, while knowing that there's a high likelihood that your $7,000 that you have in stable is going to return back to the $10,000 initial investment level, while your $3,000 that you have riding in the crypto assets or the digital asset has explosive growth potential. You can use the 70-30 model if it's $10,000, $100,000, 1 million, 10 million, 100 million, whatever your allocation is. A 70-30 based on stable coins yielding 7% APY on a 60-month base will at least get you to a break-even point on your principal, with 30% with 30% in a possible scenario where you could get exponential returns. Not promised, but you're hedging your bets, I think, in a really intelligent way. What's the worst case that can happen? Well, you could sit there and have whatever you put in, 7,000, 700,000, 70,000, whatever you have in your 70% allocation. It might not have the APYs that we've all grown accustomed to with a BlockFi or a Gemini over that time. So your money's just sitting there statically like a bank account. That's the worst case scenario. And your crypto investment could go to zero. I just strongly think that that's absurd, in my opinion, especially when you're looking at a Bitcoin. But that's a possibility. You have to accept that if you're going to invest in anything, that could be zero. It's likely that the absolute worst case scenario is the 70% you allocated to stable coins would just need to be pulled back for whatever magic reason. You earn zero yield on it and the rest of your investment goes to zero. That is the worst case scenario. You've taken a 30% loss. That's a bad loss, no doubt, but that's the worst potential outcome in this situation if you hold steadfast. I guess there is a absolute worst. The exchange could get shut down and somehow all the investment you put into it could get confiscated. I guess that's the absolute worst, but that seems just very improbable in my opinion. So from my personal experience and my thought process, a great way to approach stablecoin usage is to expect and anticipate that you're going to get somewhere between 5 to 8% yield over the course of 5 years on a continuous basis. It will return you somewhere close to your initial investment by doing it, and you can get extremely risky. You can be very risk on. You can put yourself in a very high risk position, knowing that you're probably going to return your principal unscathed, and you more than likely will have enormous growth on the 30% you kind of put, we'll say, to let it ride. Okay, not advice, but just something I've been personally thinking about a lot. And I do have a paper. Again, you can definitely give me grief over my writing style, and you probably will find things that are flawed about it. But I think it's an interesting approach to those that want to put their toe in the crypto space, but don't want to take a tremendous risk-on approach. You want to be very measured with it. So I hope that this was helpful, and I hope that this explains to you why I think there's such value in stable coins, specifically Gemini Dollars, which I am a personal investor in. So until next time, everybody, check you later. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.